Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd. And man, I'll tell you what. Disney just cannot deal very well with their employees. We've heard about mistreatment for years and stuff like that. I've known some family members of employees that have worked out there, talked about the mistreatment by management and all the crazy kind of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And well, boys and girls, Disney and of course its giant ego thought it knew best, thought its lawyers knew best, and decided to not comply with an Anaheim, California law. And now it is costing them the equivalent of a Disney movie. Well, reported budget anyway, boys and girls, that they're going to have to pay out to their employees for screwing them out of their rightful wages. And man, at a time when Disney is bleeding money left and right, this is the last thing they need. And especially from their park employees. Park attendance is already down across the board. They've got Epic Universal Light coming and knocking on their doorstep when it comes to their Florida parks, which is going to eat up a huge part of their market share out there. And now you've got this another hike raise coming from Anaheim, California, driving the price of their parks up even higher. And the more times Disney increases their prices, the more and more they cut a lot of the middle class and lower people out of even going to their parks and adding to their revenue. This is not going to end well for the Walt Disney Company. And I'd imagine my prediction, my expectation is in the next year, if not two, we are going to be seeing a lot of massive more layoffs coming from the Walt Disney Company, just like we saw last year and the year before, because you cannot continue to keep this up. They are bleeding money left and right. And now the price of a Disney movie, they are going to have to pay out to their employees because of the stupid decisions they made, thinking they knew best, just like they've done with everything else. And now reality is smacking them in the face. Because as you can see over here from our dear sweet friends over at That Park Place in Montanaro, Disneyland workers secure record $233 million wage theft settlements in California. Boys and girls, that is insane. That's probably the budget of like, what, 4 or 5 of the original MCU movies from like phase 1 or whatever? I mean, that's like, what, probably 2 Disney Star Wars shows? That's probably like 1 Marvel show. It's probably like 1 Marvel movie. It's probably like 1 Pixar movie. I mean, that is an insane amount of money. That is all. That is nothing more than lost revenue money coming directly out of their pocket. And guess what? It's because once again, just like we saw happen in Florida, Disney thought they were above the law and they could screw over their employees and the rest of the community around them because they thought they were top dog. And now reality is smacking them in their face. And guess what? The best part about it, it's California's own laws that they are doing it for. Yes, the crazy strong stronghold of woke cultness that is California that Disney has supported with billions of dollars over the last few years. Boy, it's so funny how when you dance with the devil, eventually you get burned. And boys and girls, Disney getting burned by California lawyers is just sweet justice. It's candy, Piter. It's candy. So we're going to check out this article from thatparkplace.com and get into all of the juicy details, see exactly what laws they violated and how much more money this is going to cost them in the future from the future pay raises that Anaheim just can't help itself but do. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you can. Have you not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Does this surprise you at all? Do you feel like the employees are justified and they are getting their face shake? Do you believe, like so many out there, that Disney is this evil corporation that's doing all of these disastrous things, especially to its employees and all of the rest of the culture out there? Or do you side with the Disney and all the pixie dusters? And well, I'm sure it was just an honest mistake, and Disney will be fine after losing almost $250 million to its employees. Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. So from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Montanaro, the Disney company is settling all the wrong records once again, after being forced to pay out a whopping $233 million settlement, the cost of a large Disney movie, to Disneyland workers over a class action wage theft lawsuit from 2019. The suit in question alleged the Disney company failed to adjust wages in the wake of an Anaheim ballot proposition called Measure L. It required all companies within California that received tax rebates from the city to raise their minimum wage to $15 per hour. Disney failed to do so. According to the filing, Disneyland workers are now entitled to pay back with interest dating back to the start of 2019. This settlement decree hit just as Anaheim is posed to raise the minimum wage again, this time to $20.50 per hour. $20.50 per hour? That's insane. And I get it that the cost of living out there in California is insane, but guess what? It's because of government tactics just like this. I mean, I barely make $1 an hour some days doing this full time. And can you imagine making $20.50 an hour for flipping burgers and bagging groceries? That's insane. No wonder so many of these corporations are switching over to like self-checkouts, which actually has kind of backfired on them, or like ordering your own stuff. I mean, you go to, even down here where wages aren't that high in Texas, it's where you still go to there, you still go to Taco Bell and you see the kiosk, and you still go to Walmart and you see some of this kind of stuff, and it's just absolutely insane. And guess what? Disney can't do that. You can't do that with all your cash. You can't do that with everything else. You're going to have to increase these prices while your park attendance is going down the toilet. Man, it's just going to get worse from them from there. Disney approved the preliminary settlement this week, which means they've agreed to it. It's set to be reviewed by a Superior Court judge tomorrow, January 17th. Once approved, the workers will be notified. Now, wouldn't it be funny as all get out if we hear we hear in a few days and all of that kind of stuff out there? I guess they probably actually mean December 17th, which actually is today at the time of recording. And maybe I should look it up real quick, but I'm probably not going to. I'll save it for another video. But wouldn't it be the funniest thing ever if the judge comes back and goes, well, you know what? Based on my math calculations and what my secretary did for me, because that's who actually knows how to do the math around here, it actually looks like you're going to have to actually pay them, I don't know, maybe $20 or $30 million more to actually comply with this. I mean, that would just be the funniest thing ever. Probably won't happen, but wouldn't it be hilarious? Disney's legal defense leaned on a belief espoused by its attorneys. Oh, of course, color of shock there. Disney's attorneys are talking out of the side of their mouth again, that the company didn't have a tax rebate agreement with the city of Anaheim. While originally a judge sided with the company, an appellate court reversed the decision, citing a 1996 expansion deal between Disney and Anaheim that led to the creation of Disney's California Adventure theme park. Oh, so it turns out, yes, you indeed did have an agreement with Anaheim, California, and color us shocked there. No one currently working at Disney understands or even knows its own history, including its lawyers. Wow, it's almost like it's the exact same way in their creative department as it is everywhere else in their company. Disney attempted to appeal the decision to the California Supreme Court. Yeah, I'm sure they're very conservative, but the request was denied. Disneyland workers have been embroiled in an extensive labor campaign against the company, which has led to a series of staged protests and demonstrations outside the Disneyland gates. Stories of Disney employees living in their cars and on the streets of Anaheim were publicized by Walt Disney's grandniece, Abigail Disney. Oh, yes, I remember talking about that a while back. That was absolutely hilarious, and that's the funny part about that. The House of Mouse, the happiest place on earth out there. And the employees, and honestly, that's probably because of the housing prices in California, they can't even afford a place to live out there. It's a double-edged sword. If you can possibly get out of California, please do get to at least an area of sanity out there in that state, which I know they're few and far between, but that place is going down in flames unless something happens. And hopefully, you guys have been having a great awakening and actually, wash yourselves of all this kind of nonsense. But I hate to tell you, not holding out much for California. And the best part is, it's only going to get worse for Disneyland out there. Boys and girls, won't that put a smile on your face? Doesn't this company just deserve what it's getting? Most recently, Disney Plan employees voted to authorize a strike against the company through Master Services Council, alliance between 4 unions represent cast members that work at the happiest place on earth. However, the threat strike never actually took place. Disney and MSC reached a deal that will see cast members pull in $24 an hour. And boys and girls, that's also like, let's think about like, what was it? Maybe it wasn't even a year ago that like all of the VFX artists out there at Disney, like Marvel, Star Wars, like everybody over there at Disney, they all unionized as well. Because guess what? Disney is apparently a really crappy company to work for. And wow, color us shocked there. It's a crappy company to work for, and they produce a bunch of crap and garbage. Their parks are basically nothing more than crap-filled dumpster heaps as soon as they're getting worse and worse all of the time. You see fights constantly breaking out. There's no new product going out there, whereas you have the direct opposite going on out there with Epic Universe, who's giving you all of this amazing stuff with this big expanse within the Harry Potter world out there. You're giving us the Ministry of Magic. You're giving us like the Epic Universe stuff with How to Train Your Dragon, and then the Dark Universe and all this other kind of stuff. No, when it comes to Disney parks, though, their goose is cooked. And it's so funny, too, because I remember when I first started doing this several years back when I was on my old channel, which, by the way, there's actually a shirt on the merch. If you came from the old channel and you're here over there on the new one, there's a merch t-shirt out there that says, I was there before the ban. You should go check it out. It's pretty neat. But at the exact same time, it's one of those things. I remember I used to get the comments all of the time because I used to say at the end of my videos, right, I want these companies to get better, right? I want good stories to pass on to my children, right? I want them to have a love for Marvel like I did. I want them to have a love for Star Wars like I did. But that's not what has been happening as I That's all it's been coming out of these companies. That's why I got angry. That's why I get mad. That's why I get rant. That's why I yell. That's why I take joy in their suffering, because suffering causes change. If you end up beating your head against the wall over and over and over again, you will eventually do something different, or you will go the way of the dodo. And that's what I always used to say. Disney was either going to change its ways or they were going to go bankrupt. And we see some of that changing the ways in their subtle differences out there. We've heard about all the firings at Marvel. We've obviously seen the massive amounts of firing. We heard about all of the employees over there at Pixar who cried and whined that Disney made them pull all the gay out of Inside Out 2. So we see those changes happening, but they're not happening fast enough, and they're going to continue to bleed money. They're going to continue to shrink down to an incredibly much smaller size than what they have ever been before, and it's one of them situations where this is what they have done to themselves. And the only way, there's an old saying from Benjamin Franklin out there, you know how you make somebody get out of poverty? You make it uncomfortable for them. And Disney is now in that situation. They have found themselves in an extremely uncomfortable situation, not only with their employees, but their guests, their paying customers, their audience out there. And it will continue to go down this path for as long as Disney continues to produce crap content that nobody wants. And everybody used to tell me, oh, the parks, they'll keep them going forever. No, the Disney parks are never going to take a hit. Disney will never have to change its ways. Nothing will ever change. Well, boys and girls, you see that directly happening right now before your eyes. I was proven right once again that these companies would not be able to continue going on this way forever and ever. You eventually do run out of other people's money. 2 plus 2 does still equal 4. And people, the Disney fans out there, are not as blind and stupid as so many people thought. They have woken up to the BS. They have woken up to the nonsense. They have turned off and tuned out of Disney. And now, once again, they are losing hundreds of millions of dollars. It's because they treat their employees like crap and they treat their audiences like crap. Color a shock there. It's a crap company. And now they are getting their just desserts. Boys and girls, it couldn't happen to a better group of assholes out there. And now they are almost $250 million in the hole once again for disrespecting their employees and thinking that they were bigger and better than the actual laws that apply to them. After all, Disney, you did it to yourself. Thanks for watching.